Hey, what is going on, guys? It is CryptoZerp, and today I'm bringing you guys a new type of video, and that video is cryptocurrency in a bubble, and signals to look out for if that bubble is gonna pop. Now, I get this question all the time, and that question is, Zerp, are we in a bubble? What do you think about the bubble? When will it pop? Could the bubble pop? And because I don't know the exact date of when that will happen, or even if it will happen, the only thing that I can say is there will be signals that basically a bubble is getting ready to pop. And what I'm looking to do with this video is not give you an anticipated date of when or where or whatever it's going to be here, but the signals to look out for, and not just my signals but the historical data that's out there and what bubbles have typically looked like from my own experience and from an economist, what they said in the past. So I'm going to give you guys all this information, some signs to look for. Hopefully you guys all enjoy the video, and let's get straight into it. Alright, so I found this cool article on Investopedia, and it's basically the 5 stages of a bubble. So we're going to get right into it. It says, Minsky identified 5 stages in a typical credit cycle: displacement, boom, euphoria, profit taking, and panic. Although there are various interpretations of the cycle, the general pattern of bubble activity remains fairly consistent. Alright, so let's go to the first one. Displacement. A displacement occurs when investors get enamored by a new paradigm. You guys have heard this term before, a paradigm. John McAfee even tweeted that we were in a paradigm like a month ago. Such as an innovative new technology, cryptocurrency, or interest rates that are historically low. A classic example of displacement is the decline in the federal funds rate from 6.5% in May 2000 to 1% in June 2003. Over this 3-year period, the interest rates on 30-year fixed-rate mortgages fell by 2.5 percent points to historical lows of 5.21%, sowing the seeds for the housing bubble. So if you flash back to 2007, you'll remember the housing bubble that occurred back then in the housing market, where there's like a lot of people that were getting in over their heads because they loosened the laws on who could invest in a house, and it really didn't matter what their income was because of an Equal Housing Lending Act. So essentially, in the 90s, they could not discriminate based on various factors, including income. So when they loosened the laws, a lot more people were pre-qualified and qualified for houses. And then what ended up happening, prices went up because more and more people were able to buy houses. And then it reached a pinnacle where people were losing their jobs and then defaulting on their loans. And then boom, the bubble popped. So the housing market and the cryptocurrency market are 2 totally different paradigms in themselves. But let's move on to the second thing. Alright, so boom. Prices rise slowly at first, following a displacement, but then gain momentum as more and more participants enter the market, setting the stage for the boom phase. Alright, so I would still say that we're rising slowly. As most of you guys may know, only 1% of the people use cryptocurrency or are getting in cryptocurrency, and I still feel like we're in the early stage of cryptocurrency. Once we start getting into like 50%, 30% of people are using cryptocurrency, maybe that's when we start to like worrying about things. But right now, the market, I feel like, is still in the early stages. And with that said, the market cap for cryptocurrency is 750 billion, which isn't even that high. I mean, Google right now has a market cap of 1.5 trillion, so we don't even have to worry about it. We're not even as big. Our whole market isn't even as big as one company yet. So maybe once we start getting, like, in the trillions, like 3 trillion, 2 trillion, maybe then we can start, looking at things like bubbly things, I guess you could say. But right now, I don't feel like we have to worry about anything. I really feel like we're still in the early stage of everything, and it's just now getting started. So let's go to the next one. Euphoria. During the phase, caution is thrown to the wind as asset prices skyrocket. So I guess you could say this is happening right now with the news outlets. Like, news outlets, ever since Bitcoin got really hyped, news outlets are posting all these stories. It's like, oh, people are buying houses with Bitcoin. They're just giving it a lot of hype. So that kind of has a euphoria aspect to it, but it's nothing too huge, to take out of consideration. So we got the greater fool theory plays out everywhere. Valuations reach extreme levels during this phase. For example, at the peak of the Japanese real estate bubble in 1989, land in Tokyo sold for as much as $139,000 per square foot, or more than 350 times the value of Manhattan property. After the bubble burst, real estate lost approximately 80% of its inflated value. So that's like basically saying Bitcoin got to $100,000 per coin. If the bubble popped, it could go down to 20,000. So if you're using that math, I guess that's the drop it could actually have. Similarly, at the height of the internet bubble in March 2000, the combined value of all technology stocks on the Nasdaq was higher than the GDP of most nations. Alright, so let's go to the next one. Profit taking. By this time, the smart money, heeding the warning signs, is generally selling out positions and taking profits. But estimating the exact time when a bubble is due to collapse can be difficult exercise and extremely hazardous to one's financial health, because as John Maynard Keynes put it, John Maynard Keynes is an economist. If you guys didn't know, he writes a lot of books. Check him out if you guys want to learn some stuff about him. But the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Note that it only takes a relatively minor event to prick a bubble, but once it is pricked, the bubble cannot inflate again. So just think about a balloon, guys. If a balloon is blown up to its max and then it's poked with a pin and then created a hole in it, you're not going to be able to blow that balloon up again because there is a hole in it. Just so think of it that way. In August 2007, for example, French bank BNP Paribas halted withdrawals from 3 investment funds with substantial exposure to U.S. subprime mortgages because they could not value their holdings. While this development initially rattled financial markets, it was brushed aside for the next couple months as global equity markets reached new highs. In retrospect, this relatively minor event was indeed a warning sign of the turbulent times to come. So if you guys think about how this relates to cryptocurrency, this happened when Russia banned cryptocurrency and when China banned exchanges. If you guys remember a couple months ago, if you guys were in cryptocurrency then, China actually banned cryptocurrency, and it created a huge panic in Bitcoin, and the price fell a couple thousand, and there was a bunch of panic, but it ended up going back up like 2 weeks later. That's kind of the same thing that they're talking about here. If the only way I could see this being a problem is if a major country did this, like the United States, for example. If the United States put some sanctions on cryptocurrency or tax the hell out of it, I could see this becoming a problem and it create a lot of panic. I can definitely see that happening. So hopefully the United States doesn't do anything like that. Yeah, I guess cryptocurrency in the United States kind of have to work together, like the banks and stuff like that, because it can't really be them fighting. If they start fighting, then I can see a bubble happening. Alright, so we got panic. In the panic stage, asset prices reverse course and descend as rapidly as they had ascended. So that's people taking all their money out. You know, they're panicking, they see the price going down, so they take their money in, they're seeing the signs, they're taking all their money out, and that's going to create more people to take their money out, and it's just going to be, you know, a huge snowball. Now, I'm not in any way trying to scare you guys. I don't see this bubble popping anytime soon. I'm just trying to prepare you guys, so if you see some of these signs, you'll know, that it's happening. But I don't want you guys to, be scared of the market. I really don't see it popping anytime soon. But panic is definitely a huge thing that affects a bubble. So it's all about having a contingency in place and knowing that what could happen. I'm not, like I said earlier, guys, I'm not trying to scare you or anything, but I do want you guys to have in your mind that a bubble could be something to worry about. Like, you just have to have it in the back of your mind that it could happen. I'm not saying it can happen or will happen, but it could happen. So I always want you guys to have that in the back of your mind. Now, the only way I could see a bubble popping, for cryptocurrency at least, is there's two different ways I could see it happening. One, like I said before, the United States comes into play and basically goes with war with cryptocurrency. Say if they, implement really huge taxes on it, or say make it illegal. A lot of people like to think that the government can't do anything with cryptocurrency. Like they're two separate things. But I can definitely see banks, coming into play saying, get out of here. They have a lot of power. If they end up doing anything, I can definitely see the bubble popping there. Like I said, guys, like one can't happen without the other. If cryptocurrency is going to go on to the future, banks are going to have to probably join in with it and, help it along. They can't be going opposite ways, having different ideas. If that happens, the banks will probably win and the bubble will pop, which would really suck. So if the United States gets involved in any way and goes against cryptocurrency, I can definitely see a bubble popping. So I want you guys to be prepared for that. The other way I can see it popping is all these different coins, top coins in general, saying stuff that they're gonna do and then not actually doing it. So for example, if you put in a bunch of money into a certain cryptocurrency and they're saying, oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, so all their prices go up and more people invest into them, and they're just really not worth what they say they are, which definitely has some bubble aspects to that. So if prices go too high and they're overvalued, I can definitely see a bubble with that. So it's just some things to have in your mind while you invest into cryptocurrency. Like I said, guys, I'm not trying to scare you. I don't see the bubble happening anytime soon, but I do want you guys to have this information in your head, so if it does happen, you know what to do. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Comment below what your guys' thoughts are on the Bitcoin bubble or the cryptocurrency bubble. Tell me your guys' thoughts and whether you think it's going to happen or not. I want you guys to be logical about this and, actually think about what could happen. Like I said, I don't see the bubble popping anytime soon, but I definitely feel like it's a possibility, and we all have to, look for those signs to know when to get out. But, don't be panic selling or anything like that. I just want you guys to know that, to keep it in the back of your mind, like I've said 100,000 times. But yeah, the only way I could see it popping is if United States gets involved and totally wants to go against it. If that happens, then we might start having problems. But hopefully we can work together with the banks in the United States so we can keep this crypto thing a thing. But if you guys did like the video, please leave a like. It really helps. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment and I'll make sure to answer those. And hopefully you guys all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.